Dímelo, mi gente. ¿Qué lo que? It's your girl, Danielle, back with another episode of Smacktalkdanii. So, let's just clear the elephant off the room or out of the room, however you guys say it. And let's address, if you guys are watching me on YouTube, tell me what you think. Comment down below what you think about my background, my new lighting. I'm still a work in progress. If you guys notice, my mic is upside down now, so although your girl's getting somewhat official, okay. But anyways, I just wanted to let you guys know that I got some really really good feedback on my last episode, which was the stay-at-home moms episode. um so a lot of people just liked how I was able to express my experience as a stay-at-home mom. So and a lot of people got open to what our side looks like instead of just seeing like, oh, you get to stay at home sleeping and all of that. So shout outs to everybody who gave me some wonderful feedback. I appreciate you guys. And vamos a seguir la rumba, que ya tú sabes. So today's episode is going to be about triggers, anxiety, and boundaries. Dun dun dun. So, I feel like triggers and anxiety is something that was on the rise. That is something that has been on the rise lately because of what we have been through these past 2 years, right? Um, I feel like a lot of people can relate, and I also feel like some people are going through these type of things and not realizing that this is what it is. So I looked up the definition online just to be, official. The Google definition, or based on healthline.com, when I googled like mental triggers, so in case some of you guys don't know, quote unquote, based on healthline.com, in mental terms, a trigger refers to something that affects your emotional state, often significantly by causing extreme overwhelm or distress, right? And I thought I saw another definition that kind of specify like what triggers could be. So I'm just going to go off based on like what I think. Again, I'm going to put out a disclaimer out there. I am not a professional in any case whatsoever. I'm speaking based on my opinions and my experiences. And if you guys can relate, great. If you guys learn something new with this podcast, that's awesome. You feel me? But I'm not a professional. And I also want to put it out there that if you feel like you're going through or you're suffering from anxiety, or you feel like you get triggered more often than not, to seek professional help. Therapy does help. And yeah, like I would suggest, professional help if you guys feel like you may need it. Don't avoid it, all right? Because these triggers and anxiety can get physical. Like, people don't think that, because people think that because it's attached to mental health that it can't be physical, but no. Anxiety turns into stress, and that stress appears in your body. Especially for me, my anxiety, like when I suffer extreme anxiety, um I feel super nauseous. Like, I get very nauseous. I want to cry, and sometimes I even go as far as throwing up. Like, that's how extreme my anxiety can get. um so for me, for instance, like, I know what triggers me. So it's specific things that trigger me. It's not like I wake up one day and I'm just like, oh, triggered by nothing. No. My anxiety, in the other hand, sometimes I do have anxiety. Sometimes I am anxious, and I can't really determine what it is. But my triggers, I have very specific triggers that I've had for a really long time. Some of them I've healed from, some of them I thought I've healed from, and some of them it's just something that's not going away. It's just something that's a part of me, you know? So I remember, like, as far as I can remember. I remember as far as I can remember. Nah. So what I can remember from my triggers is like I would indulge. Like I would indulge in my triggers. Like for instance, I'm not gonna get specific to like what specifically triggers me, but I'm just gonna give out examples of like triggers, right? So let's say social media is what's triggering me that day, right? I used to be the type that I would indulge so much in social media till I just can't handle it anymore. And then I would block it off. Like I would put my phone down and then just put myself in a dark room, just lock myself up and be alone, right? And for the longest time, I used to do that. And what that would do was just cause more triggers and more anxiety. So it was just like a, how, what's that called? Like reverse psychology type of thing, right? And throughout the years, I've learned how to cope with my triggers, obviously through trial and error, right? And like before, I used to have a therapist that I would go to. Shout outs to him if he's still out there. He was like one of the best therapists that I've had. But when I used to just indulge so much in whatever was triggering me and then lock myself up in my room, I would just be, by indulging, I would be creating even more memories, more triggering memories in my brain. And then by being alone, I had nothing else to do but to keep replaying whatever it was that was triggering me. So it would just make it even worse, and my anxiety would just grow and grow and grow and grow. So I didn't know. I thought I was doing something for myself, but I was like working against me. Like it was all working against me. And then let's say my trigger will go away or my anxiety will go away and I'll be having like an okay day. Then for some reason my brain would just like snap into whatever it was that I was indulging into. Um when it came to whatever was triggering me, because I used to indulge in it so much. So, like I said, like I gave the example of if it was social media, I would spend the whole day on social media. And throughout the week, my mind would snap back to those things that I lasted all day looking at, you know? Um, so it took me a little while to just understand like why certain things was triggering me and how to cope with them. And that's what I kind of wanted to get into in today's episode is just know first of all what your triggers are. For me, I know exactly what triggers me. I know what makes me feel some type of way. I know when my moods are like shifting. Obviously, I'm pregnant right now, so it's a little bit different, but I know outside of my pregnancy what shifts my mood. And I think that's something that a lot of people, or some people, I can't say a lot, but I feel like some people don't understand like what it is that triggers them. They just snap into a bad mood. And knowing your triggers can help you like know, first of all, how to cope with them. And second of all, how to like, like manage yourself. Manage yourself to get yourself out of that headspace because it's all in your head, all pretty much in your head. Um, and then something else I wanted to touch on is, let's say it's a person that triggers you. There's two reasons why a person can trigger you. And that's how you're gonna identify how to cope and how to like deal with it. Or cope and dealing is like the same thing, but how to heal from it. Learn how to heal from it after you learn how to cope from it. Um, so when it comes to a specific person triggering you, it's either two things that's going on. It's either this person is like a bully to you or like is just mean is them. It's more of a them thing. And with those type of triggers, it's like you could cut that person off. Now it's different if you're in a relationship or domestic violence or like harassment or verbal abuse. Obviously you want to seek professional help, like I said before. um but let's say it's like a friend who's just always so negative to you, just saying mean things to you, just being like a bully. That's a person that you can cut off. And that's, like I said, it's more of a their thing. You can't control what other people are doing, right? You can only control how you welcome them, how you welcome their actions in. And if you don't need to welcome their actions in, and if you have the potential and the capacity to not welcome those actions, then that's how you cope with it, right? But then there's another thing where it's more of a you thing, where somebody's triggering you and this person has no idea that they're triggering you, that they're triggering you, that their intentions is not this. It's just maybe you're insecure, maybe what they have you don't have, so that makes you jealous and stuff like that. And therefore that person is a trigger for you. Every time you see this person, you get triggered by that. Or a friendship, you get triggered by that because you wish that that was you, or whatever the case is. That's more of a you thing. And that's something that, those are things that you need to know to identify when it comes to getting triggered by somebody. You know, you need to know if it's them or if it's you. And a lot of the times people don't want to come to the understanding that some of the times it's a you thing. You know, like you're letting somebody else affect you in that type of way, in that type of capacity, and they don't even know that they're this person to you. Like, you know, that's a you thing. That's not a their thing. Because how are they supposed to know? How are they? You can't expect somebody to change. Because you have some type of insecurity, some type of issues within yourself. So once you identify that, it becomes more clear. It's either you cut them off or you fix something within yourself. Um, so that's how you can learn how to cope with that. And regardless, I feel like when you're coping based on someone that is triggering to you, I feel like the coping is the same, except what I would do in that sense would be I would just block it. I would just block it off. Now, maybe that's not the answer for everybody, but for me, I'm gonna block it. I'm gonna block it, and then if it's something that it's because if it's a me issue, then I'm gonna work on my me issue, and then I'll revisit the situation. You know what I mean? Like if I have a friend who's being mean to me and a bully to me and just not positive, and that energy that I'm trying to bring to the table, then I'm at the stage where I don't need you to be my friend. You feel me? Like I got too much going on. I don't got time to be brought down by somebody, you know? So that's when you can block that. You block them off social media, you block them off your contact list, you block them out of your life, right? Because you don't need that type of energy, especially if somebody's triggering you and you get an anxiety and you over here like throwing up and shit. Nobody got time for that. But if it's like, you know, a friend or somebody you know that's triggering you because you're insecure, or you feel like very intimidated by this person, which does happen, you can step back from that person, right? You can step back from that person just because obviously this person is still a trigger to you. You need to like try to not trigger yourself as much by being around them. And then you got to learn to help yourself figure out what it is that's going to get you out of that space. What's going to get you out of that mindset to let this person trigger you because you're insecure. Maybe you got to work on yourself a little better, do personal development, journal, pray, whatever it is that healing looks like for you or may look like for you. That's what you need to do aside from just stepping back from this person. And when you feel like you've healed from your insecurities, from your jealousy, or from whatever it is that's as making someone else have the superior trigger to you, if that makes any sense, then you revisit, you rekindle that friendship, you know? Um, One thing about me is that when I'm feeling triggered or when I'm just like in that anxious state, I don't want to be around people. And it's not because, people are going to influence whatever it is that I'm feeling, but I feel like because I'm going to influence how people are feeling. Like, I'm the type of person where if I feel like you're happy and you're having a good ass day, and then I'm moody, I have an attitude, or I'm feeling sad, or I'm feeling annoyed, anxious, triggered by something that I'm like just overthinking about, why would I want to be around you if you're so happy and ruined your mood? I'm one that feeds off of energy, right? I feed off of a lot of energy, and when my friends are not in that headspace, I don't want to be around that, because then that's going to be me. That's going to be my mood. So, like, why ruin a happy day for me because you having a bad day? So, I don't want to be that friend. Like, I don't call nobody. I don't text nobody. I don't hang out with nobody when I'm in a mood, when I'm triggered by something. Um and that kind of also contradicts itself, because when you're being triggered by something specific, you also want to like seek out some type of what you call that? You also want to look for a distraction, right? That's something that I do too, but not, I don't look for a distraction with people. The only people that I actually tell whenever it is that I'm feeling triggered is my mom, because my mom understands me. She knows when things are happening to me because I'm her daughter. I lived with her for such a big portion of my life that she knows. Moms always know. And now, obviously, Jay, like, he knows certain things, and it's because I had to learn to tell him, like, yo, these certain things are triggering to me, and this is why my mood may shift a little or shift a lot, or this is why I may act a certain way these days. So he don't think I'm easy girl, you know? So I just let him know so he knows and he's aware, because like I said, I don't like to talk to people. I don't want to be around people, but obviously that's something unavoidable because we live together. So I just let him know, like, what's up, leave me alone. And I like to distract myself by, I'm a YouTube girl. You guys know I'm a YouTube girl. My friends know I'm a YouTube girl. I'm always on YouTube. I don't watch TV basically. Like, cable is like out the door for me. It's usually YouTube. So I'm just watching like something funny on YouTube to distract my mind, or like I'm doing something around the house, whether it's washing dishes, like maybe laundry, or just something in the house that helps me like get my mind distracted. I stopped isolating myself to the point where I'm in a dark room all by myself, because my mind is my worst enemy, and I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. Like, if you are in this headspace where all you're thinking about is negative stuff that isn't even happening or isn't even true, you don't got nothing else to distract you, then you being alone in a room is just going to enhance that. That's what I had to like learn how to change about my coping mechanisms, right? So I learned to try and step away from things that would trigger me, right? So whenever I'm triggered, I would put my phone down. I would get off social media, right? I learned how to, like, communicate with people. And by people, I just mean like my mom, like my people that I need to communicate with, such as like Jay. Like, he's always constantly texting me. We're always on the phone, like calling each other whenever he's at work, right? Or if, like, that's your typical fiance, boyfriend, girlfriend type of thing. If you guys live together, you're in constant communication all day till you guys get home. So I learned how to find other forms of communication for when I don't want to be on my phone. Because, sometimes maybe my phone is what's triggering me, whatever is on social media. And it's inevitable to get on your phone and not go on Instagram and not go on Twitter and not go on Facebook. In today's world, that's just something hard to do. So I learned how to just, at least for me specifically, like it's not something like I could get on my phone, message, and then hop off my phone. If I really tried, that is my goal. That's one of my goals, where I can just get on my phone, message whoever I need to message, and hop back off. That is still a goal of mine. But most of the time, I'm on Instagram on my phone. That's mainly my reasoning for being on my phone. So I've learned that whenever I'm triggered, whenever I'm feeling some type of way, or whenever I have anxiety, I don't even pick up my phone. I put my phone in one place and that's it. So, for example, one of my, I guess, forms of communication would be like my Apple Watch. It sounds so weird, but I hope you guys are understanding what I'm trying to say. When it comes to like another form of communication. So, for me, I have an iPhone, an Apple Watch, right? My Apple Watch is silent to everything. I don't get no notifications. On my phone, I don't even get notifications, like social media notifications. I don't have that option available to me. Um, but I do get like, text messages from my group chats, text messages from my friends and stuff like that. And that's just because I'm in a mood or in a state of mind where I don't even want that type of like communication. I don't even want those type of notifications on my phone. Not because my friends, but that's just me. Like I said, I don't like to socialize whenever I'm triggered or having anxiety or whatever. So I grab my Apple Watch. I have my Apple Watch set up to, I only get notifications. It only vibrates whenever my mom or Jay is calling, or whenever my mom or Jay is sending me a text message. Those are the only two people that are in communication with me when I have my watch on. Everything else is silent, notifications are turned off, all chats, all apps, everything else is just off, right? And I think the only other thing is if I'm driving, like, you know how your watch, when you have like your maps on or whatever, it kind of vibrates whenever you have to make a turn or whatever. That's the only notifications I will get on my watch. And I specifically do that so that whenever it is that I'm feeling like that, I can just pop my watch on, even if I'm in the house, and just get those specific notifications, just answer that directly. And if I need to hop on my phone to make a call, or because Jay is calling me, or because my mom is calling me, then that's what I'm doing. Um, so that's like one way where I just find another form of communication. There's other ways too that I also learned how to like communicate with the people, and I gotta communicate whenever it is that I'm feeling some type of way. But that's just one of them. Like I said, I'm not gonna really get into too much detail with like specific triggers to me, but I just want to let you guys know like how I cope with certain things, right? And the main thing is, like I said, a form of communication. I still need to have that form of communication with specific people whenever I'm feeling like that and I don't want to socialize. And like I said, the reason why I don't like to socialize because I don't want to bring that darkness to my friends. Just because I'm not that type of person, and I don't like that. I don't like if you're feeling some type of way, or if something is triggering you and you're mad or you're aggressive, because you can triggers can bring about so many different emotions. It's not just sadness or anxiety or whatever. People could get aggressive on it, and I don't want to be a part of that. Like I want to know about your triggers, or you feeling some type of way when it comes to things related to this after the fact. But if I'm having a good day, I don't want you to come and like lash off or lash out at me because you're triggered by something that I don't probably have anything to do with. I don't want to get lashed at because you feeling some type of way over something that's going on in your head and not mine. And it's not fair for you to come at me when I have no idea what the fuck is going on with you, if that makes any sense. So I don't like to be that person to people either. So for regardless of whatever it is, like some people just are in a mood and they lash out at their friends or whoever, or they're having a bad day. I don't like to be around that energy. I'm the type of friend that you can talk to me. Like if you're sad and stuff, you can talk to me, right? You can hit me up, call me, whatever. But I'm not allowing people to like lash at me, or because you're mad or you're triggered at that moment that now you're texting me and you're mad, being mad aggressive. Like, nah, take that energy somewhere else. I gotta preserve my good energy still. So that's why I respect other people's energies when mine isn't like high and mighty and vibrating, you know? So that's like one of the reasons. That's the type of friend I am. And the last thing I wanted to discuss was boundaries. And that kind of trickles down into the boundaries aspect. Like I have boundaries when it comes to my friends being triggered by something, or when they're feeling some type of way, or when their energy is not matching mine for that day. I have boundaries to where I get it, but I don't want it to affect me. And I'm the type of friend that, like I said, I feed off of energy. So you feeling some type of way or acting some type of way might affect me. So I have boundaries. When I notice that you're off, when I notice my friends are off or whatever, I'm just MIA. I'm not gonna holler at you and see if you good or whatever. I'm gonna holler at you the next day when I feel like you're okay, you're more settled in, and that's when I feel like your mind is at a better state to talk about it. But while you're in that moment, I'm not hollering at you, I'm not talking to you. For what? So you can lash out at me and now we bickering off of some stupid shit and now I don't want to fuck with you no more because that's how I am? No. And I have my own self boundaries too. It's also very important to have self boundaries. By self boundaries, I mean if Instagram is triggering me, don't get on Instagram. Be disciplined enough to not get on Instagram, which is why I created other forms of communications other than my phone, because my phone is my main source to Instagram. I also make sure that I don't isolate myself in a room by myself. If I'm isolating myself, I'm always trying to do something to distract my mind, whether it's like listening to podcasts, listening to some type of comedy, watching YouTube videos that are gonna take me out of that situation, listening to audiobooks about self-development, because that's also helped a lot, and that was recently introduced to me, and I'm always telling you guys that like personal development was introduced to me based on this journey that I started like a year ago. So things like that, like washing dishes and just making sure I'm listening to something that's gonna take my mind off of whatever it is that's going on in my mind. So having those self boundaries is also helpful when it comes to coping. Just to distract your mind, because a lot of triggers are mental. You know, it's a like a mental thing, and sometimes your mind is your worst enemy. Sometimes your mind is creating things that are not true, that are not even happening, that you're making believe, and you're like working yourself up because of this mind state that you're in, state of mind that you're in, or whatever. So I feel like boundaries, like having boundaries is like the main thing when it comes to trying to coping with whatever is triggering you, and whatever is causing you anxiety. Sometimes, because like I said earlier, my anxiety sometimes I'll wake up with anxiety and I'll feel like, oh my God, something bad is about to happen, or like, so when I feel like that and I don't know what exactly it is, I try to journal. For some reason, it's like a real mental thing for me. Like, I try, if I feel like something bad is going to happen or I'm going to hear bad news, my mind is scattered. My mind is going crazy. Right? It's going crazy because this would be my thought process. Like, oh my God, I wake up, I feel like something is going to happen that's bad, or or I'm about to listen, or I'm about to hear some or receive some bad news. Um, but now I'm going crazy because I'm like, yo, like, what is it? Like, why am I feeling like this? Like, what bad news can possibly come to me? And now I'm thinking all of the bad things that would like fucking break me at this point, because it's like one extreme to the other extreme, right? And then I'm like, oh my God, no, I can't think like this because I'm manifesting, because manifestation doesn't see the good or the bad. Da, 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 da. Like, I'm working myself up when I don't know what's going on. Um, and I'm like going like this whole thing. Like, Jay will be right next to me talking to me, and I don't even notice he's talking to me because all of this is flaring up in my mind. Um, so what I've learned throughout the years, that whenever I'm feeling like that, I'm really big on like the higher power beliefs and stuff like that. Like, I believe in God, and I believe in praying, I believe in journaling, and I also accept the fact that, if you don't believe in God or whatever the case is, but you believe in a higher power, you believe in the universe or whatever the case is, like, I'm all for it, right? I feel like we are all believing in some type of higher power, whether that looks like God, or that looks like the universe, or that looks like Buddha, like whatever it is that it looks like for you, I'm all for it, right? But for me specifically, I believe in God. So whenever it is that I'm feeling like that, like, I don't know what's going on, but I have anxiety, I would pray. I would do like a little prayer. I would pray for my family so that I don't receive like any bad news or whatever. Pray for my friends, make sure that they're all good and covered in this prayer that I'm doing. I would journal and maybe try to dig in a little deeper, like, okay, what happened the night prior? Why am I feeling like this? What did I go to sleep thinking about that I woke up like this? So I kind of try to digest a little bit when I don't know what it is. But again, like, after I pray, I try not to indulge in this feeling because of the other aspect where I'm like, yo, manifestation, um, like the good and the bad, whatever it is that you're thinking in your head is gonna come to you, whether it's good or bad. I believe in that because that's something that I started practicing. I started learning about, throughout my journey. So I don't want to be in a negative state of mind, and I'm the one attracting that type of energy to my life. So because I'm thinking that I'm going to receive bad news, that bad news comes to me because this is where my state of mind is at. So I try to, that's how I cope when it comes to my anxiety, and like just waking up just feeling like just not there all the way there. Like, they say that that's like waking up on the wrong side of the bed or whatever. Um so yeah, that's like my little rant on triggers, anxiety, and boundaries. I told you guys a little bit about how I cope with my triggers and how to identify your triggers. I also spoke to you about how anxiety contributes to the triggers. Like, you get anxiety when you get triggered or whatever. You can also get mad or sad when you are triggered. For me specifically is anxiety. And then just how to set yourself with boundaries so that you can cope and eventually start healing from whatever it is that you need to heal from, so that these triggers are no longer a thing. Because you can be triggered by something, and if you learned how to cope and how to deal and how to heal, then those triggers end up going away. But I hope all of this made some sense. I hope you guys can relate. Comment down below how you guys deal with your triggers. You don't necessarily have to share what triggers you specifically, because I know for me, like whenever I'm thinking about what triggers me, it kind of triggers a trigger. So that's why I didn't want to get too in depth into details on like specific things that trigger me. But if you guys are open to it, go ahead, comment down below something that triggers you if you guys are up for it. But definitely let me know how you deal with triggers, how you healed from your past triggers, what kind of boundaries, if you guys set boundaries for yourself, and how you cope with your anxiety. If you guys are having like this massive breakdown like I just told you about, or if you're just more on the chill side, let me know how you deal with your anxiety and your triggers when you're around people, or if you're like me, do you isolate from people until your triggers are like done and you're all good and you're able to socialize again so you don't affect people's energies. Let me know all of that in the comments down below. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Smacktalkdanii. I also have Twitter at Smacktalkdanii. You can catch this podcast on Spotify, Smacktalkdanii, and also on YouTube. If you guys also have any topics for me, you can go ahead and DM me with your topics that you would like for me to talk about on my podcast. You can also email me, smacktalkdanii@gmail.com, to give me any topics you think I should talk about. I'm very open to like new ideas. I'm always on Instagram asking you guys to share your topic ideas, which I love because you guys have really funny topics. Whoops. You guys have really funny topics for me to talk about and stuff like that. And yeah, like I said, thanks again for your support. I hope you enjoyed this video slash podcast, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.